Yeah, it wasn't just that. It was about, there's no way it comes up. People are saying if he made his debut, he could have become a champion. There's no way on earth. Like absolute chaos. If you look at my thoughts, it's going to be absolute chaos. I just think, I don't see him coming in with a different game plan, and me neither. I'm going out there to attack. I'm going there to kill him. I'm not going out there to defend Khamzat's takedowns. I'm not going out there to defend, I'm going there to attack. So
Dricus Du Plessis is gearing up for a showdown with Khamzat Chimaev, and he's not holding back. From his training focus to his fight night plan, Dricus reveals how he plans to shut down Khamzat's relentless style. As the countdown to his fight with Khamzat Chimaev continues, Dricus Du Plessis has laid out a confident game plan, drawing on his experience against top names. He emphasized that every opponent presents a unique challenge, but adaptability remains the key. With Chimaev's wrestling threat in mind, Dricus explained how previous wins prepared him to handle whatever the undefeated contender brings on fight night. Dricus Du Plessis said, "We're preparing like we've never prepared before. I'm not going in there to fight his fight, I'm going in there to fight my fight. Just like I dealt with Adesanya's striking and I dealt with Strickland's boxing, I'm going to deal with Khamzat's wrestling." Furthermore, speaking about the road to his fight with Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus said he had a feeling their paths would cross one day. From Khamzat's UFC debut, Dricus noticed his talent and dominance. Although they were in different weight classes at the time, Dricus believed both would become champions, making a future clash between them almost certain in his mind.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm a fan of the sport, so I know what's going on in the sport. I knew him from his debut, obviously fighting on a week, two fights that 1 week after the other. And I didn't make, but watching his fight, you could see he was something special. That's for sure. But he wasn't in my weight, so it didn't concern me. And as soon as the talks came of him fighting, going up and fighting, I just started getting the feeling I'm going to fight this guy one day, And I knew I had this. I'm going to be champion. I know it, and maybe he's going to be champion in 170, come up, fight for another title. But I just got this feeling that we are going to meet up one day in the octagon. So, and then when he moved up, I knew that this is going to happen.
Dricus added that he expected Khamzat to beat top middleweights and was glad their fight happened while both are at their peak. For him, this is what the sport is all about. Two of the best fighters meeting in their prime, giving fans the highest level of competition without delays, missed opportunities, or either fighter being past their best years.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew he would beat guys in top of the middleweight division. And then here we are. I mean, I'm not surprised that this fight happened. I'm happy that it's here, and it's a massive fight. It's incredible. I mean, it's great that we get to see this, that nothing happened in the sense where he stayed in the division for too long, was out of his prime, me, or anything like that. Two guys that are genuinely at the best of their abilities are fighting each other, and I think that's what the sport should be about. Fans want to see the two best guys in the world fight.
Furthermore, Dricus also reflected on his journey compared to Khamzat Chimaev's rapid rise. He explained that although his path seemed slower, it was steady and built on solid steps. He acknowledged the hype around Khamzat, but emphasized that his own experience and resume speak for themselves, showing a different but equally valid route to success in the sport.
The guys that came before me almost opened up that door, and I was a lot younger, and then I came through that. But we weren't seeing, that's why it was the rise seemed slower, but it was actually a lot faster. If you just look at the resume, if you compare myself and Khamzat's resume, you can't even compare them,
It wasn't slow, it was more steady, right? You just you took those steps like you were talking about. But
yeah, absolutely, I did. Yeah, 100%. But with the region he's from, the hype gets created by people.
Adding on, Brendan Schaub admitted he's a big fan of Dricus Du Plessis, but remains unsure if Dricus can handle Khamzat Chimaev's grappling. Schaub explained that he's seen Khamzat dominate world-class wrestlers and jiu-jitsu specialists during training camps. While he respects Dricus' abilities, he questioned whether the South African champion is truly on that level, warning that if he's not, the fight could end quickly.
Yeah, I'm just curious, does Khamzat come with the same game plan that's kind of got him to the dance and try to overwhelm him and wrestle him? Because I think he's gonna have his hands full. I don't know. Because I'm such a DDP fan, but I don't know. I've heard stories how good he is with grappling and some of the crazy he's done in jiu-jitsu, but I don't know. Right. I've seen Khamzat, and then I've seen Khamzat in person in camp going against world-class wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys, and I'm up. So I don't know, is DDP at that level? Because if he's not, it's going to be a short night.
Brendan also pointed out that while Khamzat Chimaev's cardio is impressive, Dricus Du Plessis has proven himself in deep waters, having gained championship round experience. He questioned what might happen if Khamzat can't secure early takedowns, warning that Dricus' size, strength, and late round endurance could turn the tide in the later stages of the fight.
DDP's a monster, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though Khamzat, you know, I've seen him with my own eyes, his cardio is very good, but DDP's experienced, championship rounds good. So if you're Khamzat, do you do what got you to the dance, where you overwhelm guys to try to get them down and break their will and submit them right away? Well, the question is, and it's going to be answered, and I'm not saying he can't, but what happens if in those first 2 rounds he can't get DDP down? Then what? And then he gets tired in the 3rd. Then what, Brian? And then that 4th and 5th, you have DDP, might I remind you, the guy's my size that cut down to 85.
I mean,
so he's every bit of 210, 215.
On the other hand, Dricus Du Plessis shared his mindset heading into the fight with Khamzat Chimaev. He expects a wild and chaotic battle, but plans to stay aggressive from start to finish. Instead of defending against takedowns, Dricus is focused on attacking and imposing his own game, much like other top fighters who challenged Khamzat with offense rather than defense.
Like absolute chaos. If you look at my it's going to be absolute chaos. I just think, you know, I don't see him coming in with a different game plan, and me neither. I'm going out there to attack. I'm going there to kill him. I'm not going out there to defend Khamzat's takedowns. I'm not going out there to defend. I'm going there to attack. So I think it's going to look a little bit different. I mean, if you look at the Gilbert Burns fight and the success he had with Khamzat, that's a very, very good. Even with the Usman fight, Usman was. Well,
Dricus continued by recalling how Khamzat's past opponents used offense to challenge him effectively. He highlighted how defending alone won't win fights, pointing to Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman as examples who took control by attacking. This aggressive approach is what Dricus plans to bring, turning the fight into a high-paced battle of wills and skills.
People don't just go and defend against him. He was forced. Usman was forced to defend, and he did a great job. And then he started with his offensive wrestling and you know, showing Khamzat that he's not the only one that can wrestle in there. I think that was a big key in that fight, which made it a very close fight. And then Gilbert Burns being an absolute animal, also not being scared of Khamzat wrestling and, you know, going for it, attacking. This game doesn't work by defense. You don't win fights by defending. You win fights by attacking.
Do you think people are underestimating your grappling?
Absolutely.
Finally, Dricus addressed the common belief that his grappling is underestimated. He pointed out key moments where his wrestling and ground game shone, proving he can compete at the highest level in every aspect of MMA. For him, being well-rounded and confident in all areas is what makes him one of the best fighters in the world today.
I think, I just don't think people have seen a lot of it, so it changes the game. I think if, you know, Khamzat mentioned it, he said, Robert Whittaker took me down. He did. He got a good time takedown. I got up very easily. You know, when Rob took me down, I got up with no problems, took him down, and I dominated him on the floor in a way where I was landing. I cut him. I was landing massive elbows. The threat of the choke was there the whole time, and the round ended. And I'm sure if that round didn't end at that stage, it would have been the end of the fight right there. But yeah, I mean, I guess people haven't seen too much of my grappling and wrestling that much, but at the end of the day, I'm a complete MMA fighter, and that's why I'm the best in the world. You know, I can strike with anyone, I can grapple with anyone, I can wrestle with anyone.
Moving on, Davy Grant shared his view on how the fight might play out, highlighting that if Khamzat Chimaev can't finish early, the advantage could swing to Dricus Du Plessis. He praised Dricus' unique fighting style, which, despite seeming unusual, proves effective. Davy also noted Dricus' size for the weight class, adding another factor that could influence the fight's later rounds.
I think it's obviously, if Khamzat doesn't beat him in the first 2 rounds, then it's got to go to Dricus, I think.
Yeah. Well, what do you think's more likely?
Or DDP, you know, he just keeps proving. It's weird because you watch him and like no disrespect to him, but it's like he's got a strange style, you know. But it's sort of like it looks as if it shouldn't, but it does. You know, like he's yeah. And I've heard, I can't remember if I've ever seen him in person, but I've heard he's huge for the weight as well.
Meanwhile, Michael Bisping weighed in on the matchup, explaining that Khamzat Chimaev is explosive and dangerous throughout 5 rounds. But he highlighted how tough Dricus Du Plessis is and how their styles create a challenging fight. Bisping pointed out that Chimaev struggled after round 1 against top welterweights, suggesting that facing a strong middleweight like Dricus could test him even more.
If Khamzat Chimaev can be explosive and be a threat throughout 5 rounds, because Dricus Du Plessis is a really tough guy, and stylistically it's a tough matchup, okay? Khamzat struggled with Gilbert Burns after round 1, he struggled with Kamaru Usman after round 1. Well, if he struggled with 2 welterweights that blew up to 185, talking about Kamaru, he's certainly going to struggle with Dricus Du Plessis. Du Plessis is a gigantic middleweight.
Bisping continued by describing Dricus' size, skills, and toughness. He emphasized that Dricus has excellent jiu-jitsu, strong cardio, and knockout power. This makes it a real test for Chimaev to last the full 5 rounds. If Khamzat can't push the pace or finish early, Bisping believes Dricus could take control in the later rounds.
Walks around at about 230 pounds, diets down to 185. He's got excellent jiu-jitsu. We've seen the videos of him tapping out multiple black belts. He's spoken quite openly that he's going to beat Khamzat at his own game. He's going to go toe-to-toe. He's going to walk him down. He's going to choose to grapple with him and test him down there on the ground. He's big. He's strong. He's got a good gas tank. He's got an excellent chin, and he's got knockout power. So we are going to see if Khamzat Chimaev can really push it over 5 rounds, because if he can't, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, Rampage Jackson said that he was doing some training with him recently. He sat down with the Schmo. He said that Khamzat Chimaev reminds Rampage of when he trained with me.
Continuing, Bisping dug deeper into Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling skills, praising his speed and power. He explained how Khamzat's ability to close distance with explosive double-leg takedowns is almost unstoppable. However, Bisping also reminded fans of Chimaev's known issue. His cardio tends to drop after the first round, which could be a key factor as the fight progresses.
Khamzat Chimaev is just ridiculous, right? The wrestling on this guy is phenomenal. The way that he shoots a double leg and closes and covers so much distance, it's wild. He shoots from so far out that it shouldn't work, but he's so explosive and so powerful, he makes it work. He closes the distance, and all he needs to do is get a hold of you. So I assume that Khamzat is also ridiculously strong as well, because he's fast, powerful, he's explosive, he's got good wrestling, and if he gets his hands on you, you're going down, okay?
Furthermore, Eric Anders weighed in on the matchup, comparing Dricus Du Plessis' activity and finishes to Khamzat Chimaev's. He highlighted Dricus' ability to be tricky and resilient, especially in longer fights. Noting how Chimaev tends to burn out in later rounds, Eric believes Dricus has the edge to weather the early storm and come out on top in this battle.
Whitaker, he finished Whitaker in the first round. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did. But Dricus has clearly been more active, and did him and Whitaker fight?
Yeah, and Dricus also finished Whitaker, but it was a second round finish. It was a TKO.
Yeah. And then Adesanya. So I think, obviously the resume and work goes to Du Plessis. So I think that he'll be able to get out there, be awkward, and weather that storm, and find a way to win. 5 rounds is a long time for Chimaev. You look at the Gilbert Burns fight. He emptied the tank in the first round, and I guess he still beat Gilbert Burns, but it's a lot closer than I think he wanted. So I'm gonna go with Du Plessis.
Adding on, Paul Felder broke down the intense training methods Khamzat Chimaev uses to prepare for fights. He highlighted how Khamzat's camp combines endurance work with explosive exercises, pushing every physical limit. This balanced scientific approach helps explain why Chimaev can maintain such a high pace and power during fights, making him one of the most dangerous fighters in MMA today.
Yeah, he did. So he, I mean, from everything I've seen from when he was working with TJ, and I have talked to him and stuff, like, he's big into just, pushing all your different levels and all your different, zones and like that. He's very calculated with all that, but he has these guys doing a lot of cycling type stuff and like sled pushes and just crazy aerodyne type workouts. But he mixes the long endurance stuff in with this short explosive stuff that MMA fighters need. I think he's a crazy scientist when it comes to that kind of shit.
Meanwhile, Michael Bisping talked about the tough journey a fighter faces when cutting weight and improving their fitness. He shared a story about running with a fighter who had lost a lot of weight but was struggling to breathe. Bisping emphasized how pushing through pain and exhaustion is necessary for growth and success in fighting and life.
I think he's got a fight scheduled. He's going to have a fight soon, and his weight is down from 275 to 256.
Crazy that he was ever
256 though. So we went for a run earlier, and so he's lost almost 20 pounds. So I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
And we went for a run, and he was out of breath, and I'm like, son, come on, you got to push it. You got to push it. You don't improve. And TJ was talking about this. When you're in that level, where you can't breathe, where your lungs are on fire, where your legs are burning, or whatever part of your body's really suffering, that is where you improve, by being in that condition where you feel like it's hell.
Bisping continued by explaining how this idea applies beyond fighting, comparing it to saving money or dieting. He stressed that improvement comes only through sacrifice and suffering. For anyone wanting to be the best, enduring hardship is part of the process, and fighters especially must accept this harsh reality to reach their goals.
Where you are suffering, that's where you make the improvements. And when it comes to anything in life, you don't improve if you don't suffer. I was telling, we were sitting in the sauna afterwards, I said, you're trying to lose weight, you're dieting, that's miserable, you're suffering. But so you're going to improve. You want to go for a run and you want to improve your cardio. Your lungs are going to be on fire. You suffer, so therefore you improve. You want to have more money in the bank, you got to save. You ain't going to go out and splurge and have fancy dinners and all the rest of it. You're going to suffer because everyone's going to call you a cheap ass. But you're going to suffer and you're going to improve because you're going to have more money in the bank. Whatever it is in life, you've got to suffer. And if you want to be the best fighter, you got to goddamn suffer.
Even Paul Felder agreed with the idea that true progress comes only through pushing past discomfort and pain. He explained that no matter the sport or training style, athletes must face moments when they want to quit. How they handle those moments is what separates the best from the rest, especially in a demanding sport like MMA, where both physical and mental toughness are essential for success.
I mean, you're right. I mean, I think as things advance, you see guys oftentimes think that there's a way around that, right? You can put lipstick on it all you want, but at the end of the day, the only way that you are going to see benefits in any weightlifter, any conditioning coach, any track coach, any triathlon coach, MMA coach, there's going to be a point where you are going to be uncomfortable. How do you deal with it and push through it is going to determine how much success you get out of it, how many gains you get out of it, or how good you're going to be eventually. Because especially in sports like MMA, you're right. Whether it's grappling, whether it's hitting the bag, however you're going to put yourself through that ringer, you're going to have to do it to a point where you want to stop.
Adding on, Elijah Smith gave his pick for the fight, focusing on Dricus Du Plessis' consistency versus Khamzat Chimaev's recent inactivity and physical issues. He highlighted how Khamzat has been in and out due to injuries and illnesses, which might affect his performance.
Ooh, I got DDP. I just think, like, Cosma, he's been out for a while. I mean, yeah, I want to say for a while, but he's always in and out. A lot of times he's hurt, or I don't know what's going on. He's sick a lot. And DDP, for some reason, when he looks like he gets tired.
Elijah continued by breaking down how the fight could play out over 5 rounds. He believes Khamzat will start very strong early on, but Dricus' endurance and ability to maintain pressure will likely help him win as Khamzat tires in later rounds.
He's actually not tired, and he's a strong, good striking, wild guy. And I think Cosma, he comes out in that first round pretty strong, but as the fight goes on, I think DDP ends up winning that fight, just because we've seen Cosma kind of gas out a little bit, get tired in the later rounds, just because he comes out so hard, and it's a 5-round fight, so that also plays a big factor. So we'll see if he comes out those first few rounds super hard, or if he takes his time. But I have Dricus Du Plessis.
Dricus Du Plessis is preparing with a focused and adaptable strategy to face Khamzat Chimaev's relentless style. While many experts praise Chimaev's explosive wrestling and pace, Dricus' resilience, size, and well-rounded skill set give him the tools to push through the chaos and potentially outlast the undefeated contender. This fight promises to test both fighters' limits, making it one of the most intriguing matchups in the division. As the countdown continues, fans can expect a high-stakes battle where every round and every move will count. Who do you think will come out on top? Khamzat's raw power and aggression, or Dricus' endurance and tactical approach? Drop your predictions and reasons in the comments below.